One Piece chapter 1157 has finally released, and in it, Oda has revealed to us the treasure of Pirate Island that caused the entirety of the God Valley incident. It's a girl. They were fighting over a girl. In all seriousness, I think this is actually perfect for all the characters involved, and it just makes a lot of sense based on all of the information about God Valley that we already have. So let's talk about it. Why was the treasure of God Valley Shaki of all things, and how it fits perfectly for the narrative and the story. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe. I make videos for every chapter that drops during Elbaf, and every time they are just bangers, so I'd love to have you on the ride. So a little recap before we get into the nitty-gritty of things here. If you don't remember, we learned during the Kuma flashback that the reason the Roger Pirates, the Rocks Pirates, and even most of the Celestial Dragons were on God Valley in the first place is because there was a treasure stolen from Pirate Island to act as a reward for the God Valley hunting game. In a previous video, I talked about the possibility that this was the 2 devil fruits that Rocks wanted. He got them, they were stolen from him, and he had to go retrieve them from God Valley. This would also make sense considering we know there was devil fruits on God Valley because that's where Kaido got his devil fruit as well as Kuma got his devil fruit. But now I have realized that Oda made a fool of me. It was not a devil fruit, nor was it actually a material treasure. It was just the hottest One Piece pirate on the planet. At the end of this chapter, we see Shaki come to live on Pirate Island because after her retirement, she does not want the world government chasing after her. And she creates her legendary bar, the one we learned about on Sabaody Archipelago, which would soon earn her the title of the Treasure of Pirate Island, the exact same phrasing that is used to describe the treasure that was stolen that started the God Valley incident. That's right, when you see the Rocks Pirates and the Roger Pirates, the 2 strongest pirate crews of this era, rushing to God Valley, it is not because they wanted power or fame, it is because they wanted to take back the girl they loved. Now, this makes perfect sense for their characters, but first, before we talk about that, I want to talk about why it makes perfect sense in the flow of this flashback. I know it might be hard to remember considering Rocks has stolen the show, but this flashback originally started as a Harold and Loki flashback, which is very confusing, not only because those 2 characters have not really been all that present, but also because Oda gave us a ton of panel time showcasing the Kuja Pirates and their relationship with the Rocks and Roger Pirates, things that feel very far separated from Harold and Loki's storyline. But not only does it now make sense why Oda was showing us all these things, because he wanted to pre-establish the relationship between the Roger Pirates and the Kuja Pirates, that way it would make sense why Roger was headed to God Valley in the first place. He also needed to weave this relationship together with the relationship between Harold and Rocks, so that he would have reasons to involve Harold in God Valley as well, because again, at the end of this chapter, we learned that in order for Harold to create the world government affiliated nation he wants to, he's going to have to kill Rocks. So what started as a flashback that was seemingly all over the place with Harold and Loki kicking things off, jumping to Rocks, and then jumping to Roger and the Kuja Pirates, is now, in typical Oda fashion, all going to weave together into one big incident, the God Valley incident, where all of the players of this flashback will have an interconnected storyline. As for if we're actually going to get the God Valley incident this flashback, I will hold off on my opinion there. I think it's both possible and maybe unlikely. But regardless of that, the point is all of the randomness in this flashback all has a purpose now. It was supposed to tie all of the events of God Valley together with an extended context surrounding the Roger Pirates, the Rocks Pirates, the Kuja Pirates, and the citizens of Elbaf. But enough of all this evidence as to why it makes sense Oda was showing us all of these things. Let's talk about why this makes perfect sense for the characters in this era. Not only was Oda showing us the goofiness of Rocks and Roger, just so it would make sense for them to go to God Valley to rescue Shaki, he was also showing us the sort of nature of the pirates in this era. Having the biggest motivator for these pirates to go and fight on God Valley be a girl makes a lot of sense to me, because when I read this era of One Piece, I sense a clear lack of pressure, or more specifically, a huge lack of involvement that the world government has in the world. Pirates like Rocks and Roger did not grow up in the Great Pirate Era like Luffy did, because, well, Roger inspired that era. The era that we know, the era that One Piece takes place in, is such a cutthroat environment where the world government is constantly pushing down at the necks of pirates, while the best of the best rise to the top to try and inherit Roger's will. But in this era, not only was the world government lax compared to how they are now, pirates like Roger and Rocks did not know about the One Piece yet. All they cared about were typical pirate things, which first and foremost would be the most beautiful pirate on the sea. It's all coming together now. There would be no reason for pirates like Rox and Roger, two pirates really obsessed with freedom, to go out of their way to attack God Valley. Yes, I know Rox's goal was to topple the world government, and considering Saturn was present at this island, it would make sense for him to go and attack this island anyway. But if you ask me, I think Rox's main goal was to attack Marijois and destroy the world government in one fell swoop. So why are these two attacking the world government at God Valley anyway? Again, it's because they were after a girl. It just fits their characters so well, and it fits the era so well because these characters had no reason to really beef with the world government on this level yet. The amount of history and buildup of the oppression of the world government simply wasn't there yet. It started after Roger was executed and created the Great Pirate Era. And Oda has single-handedly created this incident, the God Valley incident, using Shaki to act as the moment where the world government would become oppressive and things would start to change in the One Piece world. Because right after this, Rox's era would end, Roger would go to find the One Piece, and the Great Pirate Era would start after he was executed. It is not an exaggeration to say that these two pirates' love for Shaki ignited the entire conflict between the pirates of today and the world government. Also, as a little sidebar, this also checks out as to why Shaki has so much information during the modern day story on Sabaody Archipelago. It's because she was a barkeep all the way back in the Rox era, setting up on their home base. I cannot imagine how much of the true world that Shaki knows about, especially now that she ended up with Rayleigh, who knows the entire history of the world. Oda really had this all planned out since their character introduction, which is crazy to me. And lastly, this chapter really made me think of Luffy and how different he is from the rest of these guys. Obviously, Luffy has inherited Roger's will, but I still can't help myself from feeling that Luffy is actually drastically different from the era of pirates of Rox and Roger. Again, these guys were head over heels for the Kuja pirates, and it's insane how laid back they were when it came to the world government's rule over the world. Yes, again, Rox wanted to topple the world government, but he didn't get to do so, very likely because he was distracted by this girl. Which makes it even more powerful that Luffy will be the one to liberate the world, because he was one of the first legendary pirates in this insane string of inherited will to be absolutely unfazed by the Empress of Amazon Lily, Boa Hancock. This moment where Luffy feels absolutely no affection to her is insane to me because it's the moment that defines him as the one who's going to liberate the world, because all of the predecessors who tried to do that before him failed and they were all obsessed with the Kuja pirates. This moment has so much more weight to it. It's as if Oda was showing us before we would even realize that Luffy is way different than those who came before him. It's really insane how this man can just string a story together all the way back in Amazon Lily and have us not realize till 15 years later. It's amazing, and I honestly can't wait to see how the God Valley incident unfolds because I really do think it changed the entire world of One Piece as we know it. If you enjoyed this video, I would super appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Again, if you want to keep up with weekly Elbaf chapter reviews, I make a video every week. And again, this arc is literally insane, so we have a lot to talk about week over week. Thank you for watching, and until next time.